Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We have to ask the question, who on earth does Humza Yousaf think he is? For all intents and purposes, he's the Lord Mayor of Scotland, a regional governor. He's not the head of state, he has no diplomatic standing, and he should not be allowed to speak for all of the country. And yet here he does, he keeps going off all around the world, meeting with dignitaries and world leaders and pushing himself onto the international stage like some kind of statesman. But it is only in his own mind, of course. Most of the people he meets go, who on earth is that? As indeed do we. But he seems to be thinking that he's important in some way. He really isn't, of course. But this is obviously some kind of push to make him feel better than himself. He does have this massive ego, and perhaps he's thinking about post-political life and becoming some kind of important flying diplomat. But it'll never happen, of course. His political career will end the moment Kate Forbes takes over, and she will never ever use him to communicate with other people. He will be done and dusted, and he can go back to his call centre job in Dundee. However, we'll take a look at it because the amount of people he's met has been remarkably high for a man who's only been in the job 11 months. Let's take a look. So Humza Yousaf's surge in meetings with foreign dignitaries as SNP leader tries to make himself a statesman. You see, the trouble with statesmen is they're respected, they're knowledgeable, they're experienced, and they have all the contacts. None of that, of course, can be applied to Humza Yousaf. His only contacts seem to be members of Hamas. The number of meetings attended by the First Minister on international relations rose by 900% in Mr Yousaf's first 5 months in office, compared with Nicola Sturgeon's final 6 months in the role. He realises, of course, that he can't do anything about Scotland. He's got no policies. The policies he has had have all been failures. He's got no idea what to do. He really doesn't have a clue on how to solve the problems his party have caused. And so for him, it's important to look good. So if he can get up and go on an international tour, and there's lots of pictures of him meeting with people abroad, it sort of deflects from the problems at home. This is something that happens with American presidents. They often are fairly powerless to change things within America because of the setup with the Senate and the House of Representatives. But foreign policy is reserved to the president. And so that's why so many American presidents interfere in other countries. It's the only place where they can do anything as president. And I think he's feeling much the same. But of course, he does not represent the country. He's not a statesman. He's not a diplomat. He has no international standing. And so when he goes abroad and does these things, it's purely ego massaging. He doesn't have the power to commit to anything. And indeed, when he does these meetings without members of the Diplomatic Corps or the Foreign and Commonwealth Office or the Cabinet Office, technically I would suggest he's in breach of the treason laws. I think it should be enforced. Anyway, Humza Yousaf has overseen a huge surge in meetings with foreign dignitaries since becoming First Minister, we can reveal. The SNP leader has faced criticism for blurring the lines between devolved and reserved areas over the past year, with international relations reserved to Westminster. He should not be doing it. And indeed, they should say to him, if he attempts it one more time, not only are they going to prosecute him under the Treason Act, but they're going to remove his passport. That will clip his wings nicely. But in the first 5 months after taking over at Bute House, the number of meetings attended by the First Minister on the subject of foreign relations rose a whopping 900% compared with the final 6 months of Nicola Sturgeon's reign. Between April and August last year, Mr Humza attended 20 meetings under the subject international relations, according to analysis of Scottish Government records. That's one a week. One a week. Not his job, not his place. He should not be doing it. And any meetings that occurred without Foreign Office or any kind of diplomatic corps people being present, that is a crime. Cameron needs to jump on this man and needs to tell him in no uncertain terms that if he does it again, he's going to jail. In comparison, Ms Sturgeon attended just 2 from October 22 to March 23. Mr Yousaf's most prolific month was June 23, when 10 meetings in his diary were scheduled for talks with foreign dignitaries or on the subject of international relations. But they don't have any international relations. They're not a sovereign country. He is not the leader of a sovereign country. He is merely the governor of a region. The United Kingdom is the sovereign country. It is the United Kingdom that speaks for all. Unless he can get that into his tiny little mind, it's going to be very bad for him. Among those he met on the trip was fellow separatist and head of the Flemish government, Jan Jambon, with the pair signing a memorandum of understanding on trade. Now, you have to understand this. How is he signing a memorandum of understanding on trade when the United Kingdom is responsible for trade? Humza Yousaf must not speak on trade. What if what he's saying goes against what UK policy is? He would then most certainly be guilty of treason. Does he not understand that? Surely he must be informed forthwith that if he keeps doing this, it will be treason, he will do time, it will be a lot of time, and he will be made to suffer. Mr. Yousaf took the opportunity as well to declare Scotland a European nation. Well, yes, it's in Europe, I'll grant you that, but it is not yet as such a nation. And that is during the visit. He also met with the New Zealand's UK ambassador Carl Reich, Ireland's ambassador to the EU Tom Hannay, David McAllister MEP, and European Commissioner's Vice President for Interinstitutional Relations Maros Sefcovic. Didn't I do well with that one? The visit included dinner with 5 members of the European Parliament's Friends of Scotland group. It was another busy month, with Mr. Yousaf attending 7 international relations meetings in August. A figure that doesn't include a climate meeting with US former presidential candidate and special envoy John Kerry, another one who's as useless as useless. And when the pair discussed independence. Why is he discussing independence and constitutional matters with a foreigner? Again, treason. What is it with him and the treason? He does like to be a traitor, doesn't he? On August the 9th, he met with Australian High Commissioner Stephen Smith and gushed about a free trade deal between the country and the UK. Surely it should be the UK government talking about a free trade deal with Australia and the UK, not some bloke from Dundee. Among the others he met that month were Katrin Jakobsdottir, Prime Minister of Iceland, Ukrainian Ambassador Vadim Prostayko, and Dr. Amjad Saqib, founder of Akuwa, an Islamic charity and interest-free loan provider. Ah, he's after an interest-free loan, is he? Mr. Yousaf also attended a service to mark Pakistan Independence Day. Got to say, one thing the world has given, Britain has given the world. It's been 114 Independence Day celebrations around the world. So Britain's done quite well on that, hasn't it? Anyway, and there was a memorial service on the Ukraine Independence Day. Which one? Because there's going to be another one, isn't there? He also met with the US ambassador on August the 4th, and 2 other international relations were held in April of 23, and one took place in July. He's all over the place, isn't he? He's talking about things over which he has no power. They are reserved matters. He should not be talking about them. And yet there he is, and doing so a lot of the time without his Foreign Office minders. He really thinks he can push the envelope and become important. Cameron needs to clip his wings and show him who's boss and how unimportant he truly is. Remove the passport, number 1. And secondly, next time he goes, Cameron's to tell him, you do it again, it's treason. Let's see then if he's willing to push the envelope any further. I think not. Anyway, coming up, we'll round off. Well, you have to say, the ego has landed, although he probably won't have a good time for long. Labour have said that should they win the next election, highly probable, that they are likely to close the pretendy embassies. Ian Murray would likely become the Shadow Scotland Secretary. So he is the Shadow Scotland Secretary. He would likely become the Scotland Secretary. And he's vowed to close the pretendy embassies, transfer everything into the British consulates, the British embassies, and run out the trade mission from them. And he said he would not only do a UK-wide trade mission, but also the independent for the 4 home countries. And so there would be an English trade mission, a Scottish, and so on, but all done under the aegis of the British ambassadors in the regions, not with separate Scottish staff controlled from Holyrood. That, of course, would stop Air Miles Angus from having to travel all over the world. So that will equally upset him, which I think is a bonus. Anyway, we'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please, please share the video, and I'll speak to you later. Goodbye.